Hi, Tasha. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was so happy that I heard from you yesterday. I'm excited and I'd like to talk to you and give you some information. I know you didn't have time yesterday, but I gathered up a little bit and I've pre-filled everything to make this as fast as we can, but also informative. I'm a note taker. I do checklists because if I don't do checklists, things are gonna get left behind and it's a lot of information. Okay, do you have about 8, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. So I sent you an email,
Mm-hmm.
and in the email, what I did was I numbered everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that we could touch on every single thing like in alphabetical order, and then I have it right here in front of me. I'll make notes of whatever questions that you have and we go from there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. um First thing is the first one. If you click on number one,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna see, and it's gonna say the home buyer survey, and I just put Riley and Natasha Tedford in there. One of the questions that we're trying to find out is, are you guys looking, like, how soon are we talking? Do we need to move? Is it a lease thing? Is it a birthday thing? Is it a just growing in life thing?
We're hoping to move by the end of the year, as our goal of getting everything closed and signed and us moving in before January of 2027.
So
Um,
you have a lease.
yeah, currently we're leasing with a rental property manager in a house,
Okay.
hoping to buy property in May.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always best to buy. Always best to buy. All right. Is there like well, I know that you guys were interested in coming back to Bell County. Is there like a specific city in Bell County? Harker Heights, Salado, uh, Belton.
Mhm.
Where are you looking?
I was hoping more for the Belton Salado area.
Okay.
Not opposed to the Temple area simply because it's closer to work.
Okay, awesome. All right. Do you have any pets?
Yes, I have one small cat.
Mm, I have one cat and one grand cat.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever bought a house? Have you guys ever bought a house?
No, this is our first time buying.
Okay, that's exciting. I
Yeah.
love that. Um, okay, let me see. You're in a lease. It expires in December, right?
Yes.
December. Okay. Do you have any like are when I'm asking these questions to try to figure out kind of like what we're looking for. Okay. But it's just a basic thing. What about price range or like a monthly mortgage are you guys looking at?
We're looking at anything below 300,000. Um, our sweet spot is going to be kind of the 280s. We're open to kind of fixer upper houses, not demolition houses, not things that
Mhm.
need to, completely be torn down and built back up, but stuff that is older and can give us some projects to do on a weekend to really fix it up and clean it up and make it our
Yeah, and I mean you guys have that strength behind you where you can
own.
spend that time pulling
Right,
out.
yeah,
No, and I shouldn't say anything because I am quick to start painting. I love painting.
exactly.
I
Mhm.
know. Uh, so I'm assuming, I may be wrong. Uh, are you guys doing cash? Are you guys doing FHA? Have you been pre-qualified?
In an ideal situation, we would like to be pre-qualified. We want to go talk to a banker around September, um,
Okay.
so that we can get pre-qualified and then that 90 days, hopefully
Yeah,
get a house figured out before then.
correct. Okay. I see what you're saying. Um, okay. So we've got all that. How many bedrooms are we looking? Do we have kids? Are we planning on kids or?
No, hopefully kids in the future. I think 3 bedrooms is fine.
Mm-hmm.
An ideal world would be 4 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms and kind of like a loft area to put
Mm-hmm.
a office without taking up a bedroom.
Okay.
Um, or some sort of, renovated garage space for a gym. Really just an extra space that can be used for anything. So three
Okay.
bedrooms and a large area.
All right. Bathrooms?
Two bath is fine. Mhm.
Two. I don't like two baths. I'd fight with everybody. I need my own bath. What about acreage?
In an ideal world, we would like to get at least an acre, but I think with our price range, half an acre might be a little bit more reasonable.
Okay.
Um, I think for my husband, a big selling point is the yard. We spend a lot of time outside.
All right. Um, what type of like are you looking more modern? Are you looking Victorian? Are you looking country? Are you looking what type of style of home do you like or not like? What
I don't think that I dislike many styles. I think all of them have merit and can look good and can be flipped. Um,
Okay.
My personal favorite is a country style home. I like everything on the same story. I like where the floor plan is just one long building. I'd rather that over 2 stories.
Right.
I also like a porch. It's not, a make or break or a deal breaker or anything, but to me, you find that more in like a country style.
Okay. What about garage?
I'd like a 2-car garage. I I am not make or break on that because if they had flipped the garage space into, that extra empty space, that would be
Mm-hmm.
ideal so that we can put a gym in it. Me and my husband don't typically park our cars in the garage, but a 2-car space is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I want you to go into the email and click on number two, which is your buyer information questionnaire. Most of these we've already gone over.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want you to use this for, one thing is was your husband military?
No, it's not.
Okay, so then there's no VA entitlements. Okay. We went through majority of these things. If you scroll down
Mm-hmm.
to, I think there is a one sheet in the back and it says buyer questionnaire for initial interview. I'm like, I want you to take some time. It doesn't have to be right now, because we're talking about we need the 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like you to sit down with your husband and kind of write down maybe 10 things that you really
Okay.
like that you in your ideal house, in the house that you find, what what would captivate you?
Okay.
I heard acreage,
Mm-hmm.
I heard 2-car garage, but in your dream home,
Mm-hmm.
what is something that would just this would be it? Because what I'm trying to do is fine tune and figure out what I'm looking for, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that has I already pre-filled all that from our conversation yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like you to take a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be right now, but I mean, we're right now we're just talking about stuff and I'm giving you information.
Sure.
All right. So now let's go ahead and click on number 3.
Okay.
Okay. This is before we do the this is I'm gonna talk about the home buying process real quick before we even give you information about the brokerage and the brokerage services. I just want you to be prepared to know exactly how this is gonna go. Okay. And like I said, I'm telling you, I'm a checklist. Okay. So one, when you click on that, you'll see we're gonna discuss budget, we're gonna discuss timeline, we're gonna discuss your ideal home. 2, we're going to go through a pre-approval. Okay. Pre-approval to me is important because you want to know also what you guys can afford.
Right.
You want to know what you guys can afford. You want to know what you're looking at. You want to know where you stand because that strengthens everything about this whole process.
Mm.
Then we go in after we figure what your likes are. We go in and we start looking at the homes that I think and you think that would fit in your ideal world.
Mm-hmm.
Then we number 4 we make an offer. Number 5 we negotiate. Number 6, there's an earnest money. I know a lot of times earnest money scares people, but it could be as low as like $50. It could be as high as whatever, but the my job is to make sure that those things stay low and nothing affects you.
Earnest
Okay.
money meaning
Earnest
down
money,
payment.
earnest money is a deposit money with the title company to secure your offer.
I see. Okay.
Okay, so when you make an offer, you find a right home, you write an offer, and like we would negotiate the terms for you. Who pays the commission to your real estate agent? Who pays closing costs? Who pays that? That would be your real estate agent's job is to negotiate in your best interest. Earnest money is the it's a little bit of money that you deposit with the title company just to secure your position so that nobody else can come in. If there's an active offer, which it would be yours, and you put in the earnest money within the appropriate amount of time, what happens is nobody else can come and push your offer off.
Mm, okay.
Okay. Uh, Now, then the lender would go in, he'd review your orders, he'd review your stuff, he'd order your credit report. The appraiser comes in and verifies your income, blah, blah, blah. And then we go to underwriting. Underwriting reviews the documents. The loan gets approved at step number 9. The title work is where the title company comes to make sure that there's no liens. There wasn't a death, mom didn't die, and then there's like 15 kids, and then there's somebody that owns share in the house.
Right.
There's title company work. Then of course there's preparing closing documents, settlement, and then finally possession. Okay, the one thing with the pre-qualifications is, I would give you guidance like example, like you wouldn't open a new credit. You don't buy furniture. You don't buy any of that stuff. You don't move around large amounts of money because it starts throwing flags, you know? Um, Let me see. The other thing I would like to talk about is, let me see here. This is just this Number 3 is basically just giving you an overview. It's not details, but if you have questions about anything in particular, let me know. Put a little star by it. Send me a text message. I'll answer like right away.
Okay.
All right. All right. So let's click on number information about brokerage services. Okay, that's number 4.
Hmm.
Okay. Now remember, this is not a contract. This right here is not a contract. This is a disclosure. All right. All this is explaining the relationship between the agency relationship and the broker duties. It sets a foundation and it says that we have to act. If you sign this, we have to act in your benefit.
Right. Okay.
Okay, because we would, this again, this isn't a contract. This is just saying what this brokerage does.
Hmm.
Okay, so if you have any questions with that, you go ahead and you let me know about that. Now, let's talk about some number 5. Let's move down to number 5 real quick.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so number 5 is buyer representation.
Hmm.
All right, buyer representation. We go through section number 1. Section number 1 talks about like basic who is going into an agreement, all right? You and me, or you and are the brokerage, all right? Section number 2 is you grants me, your agent, the exclusive right to represent you in acquiring a property. All this does is formalizes the relationship between me and you. Okay. So that I don't go out and like do all this work and then somebody else comes in and goes, well, I showed you this 5 seconds ago, but I spent 3 months, you know, it just formalizes things. Not that that's going to happen because I'm going to find you an amazing house. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. Three, section number 3, it just clarifies definitions of the terms. Okay. Section number 4, in section number 4, usually I only put 90 days because the truth is, if it takes me more than 90 days
Mhm.
to find you a house, then what are we even doing? I'm wasting your time and I am not serving you to the best of my ability. If it takes me more than 90 days, then our contract is up and then maybe, we move on to find somebody else.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And that way I'm not locking you in for a long time or anything like that. Client's obligations, you agree to work exclusive with me in the market area. You communicate with me openly, honestly, which should be easy because I'm pretty easygoing. Number 7 confirms that you have the legal capacity to enter into this agreement. Number 8 is intermediary. Now, intermediary means that I work for exit.
Mhm.
I am selling a house, but then I have somebody else listing a house. Okay? I can't represent both myself and the seller and the buyer. If I go into contract with you, there is an intermediary relationship, but I am exclusively on your side. I'm completely negotiating on your side, even though even though that the even though that there are house that the house that you really like is at my brokerage, I
Mhm.
can still show you that house. I just won't be able to put you and the seller and the buyer in the same room because it's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
But I will be able to show you more things because we're doing intermediary. Okay.
So
Go
if
ahead.
if there was a house that checked all of my boxes
Yep.
and because of this intermediary we couldn't see it, what's the
No,
plan then?
no, we can see it. So that's why we're checking intermediary status. We're saying yes.
I see.
So
Okay.
yeah, if all it does is it's handled by appointments. If both parties are present by are represented by exit, 2 separate agents are assigned so that the fiduciary duties are enforced.
Okay.
Okay. So either way, this just basically opens up so that if you do see something here at this real estate agency, you'll be able to see it, you'll be able to buy it. You just have more access to more property. But this is just stating that there's serious rules to that to make sure that it's fair and to make sure that the fiduciary duties are enforced.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then the next portion is the commission. My commission is usually 3%, which is standard, for paid by the seller. Honestly, I'm gonna try to get everything paid by the seller. If I represent you, I'm gonna do my best to negotiate so the
Okay.
seller pays for everything.
So
There are some things.
in the instance that the seller doesn't pay for everything, how does that work? Is that kind of like factored into closing costs?
Yes, it is factored into closing costs. Okay. And but majority of the time, especially in this market that it's a buyer's market, the
Mhm.
seller's gonna pay the percentage. You're not gonna have to come out of pocket with that.
Okay.
Okay. But I mean, like I said, I have to tell you these things.
Mhm.
Now, um, another thing that we could talk about is the section 10. What happens if you don't sign? If you don't sign the buyer representation agreement, I can still like show you stuff. I just can't do any legal, I can't give you any advice on anything. I can't negotiate for you. I can't tell you anything that's coming up. I can't guide you through the process. You become more of a customer rather than me trying to actually help you and get this done the way it needs to be done legally, make sure the title company, there's a lot of paperwork that goes into all of this.
Okay.
And my job for the 3% is basically to make it as headache free as I can
Okay.
and where it doesn't affect you as much.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds
So that's something that you and your husband should probably take a look at, talk about. And like I said, these things I put stars by them. Ask me questions. Send me questions. We have time. We have time. All right. So now let's go over to section number 6. And all this is a consumer protection notice. It's required by Texas Real Estate Commission. It explains how the state protects you when you work with real estate agents, brokers, or inspectors. It's not a contract, it's just a disclosure of your rights as a consumer. If you ever feel like your license holder is acted improperly, this notice explains how to file complaints. Um, The fund may compensate consumers suffering financial loss due to license holders' unlawful actions. This basically is telling you that the state is going to protect you from me. But first and foremost, before we get into anything, is you got to have some sort of trust in something. But if you have questions and I don't have answers, I will find somebody that can answer your questions for you.
okay.
Okay? But that this is just it's just disclosure that I have to tell you about. The next one is we're going to talk about click on, I think it's called the general number 7, right? General information
Yes.
and notice to consumers. This this total form. This form basically this form just tells you about appraisal versus inspection. It's an informative form.
Okay.
Okay. It talks about the soil. It talks about flood zone and flood zone insurance. It talks about mandatory HOAs, but that all depends on the property. It talks about your surveys and your boundaries. It talks about repairs, walkthroughs, wire fraud warning. This form is just to help you kind of understand issues that can come up during a real estate transaction. This way you can make an informed decision. All right. So it's a warning. It's saying, hey, you take a look at this, take a look at this. This could happen, this could happen, this could happen. But the whole thing in finding a house, the whole thing in doing any of that is we have to go step by step. And the next 2 steps actually is something that I'm a huge fan of is the general notice home inspection for buyers.
Mhm.
Okay. Home inspection for buyers, home inspections for buyers. Listen, facts are facts. FA, FHA and lenders don't perform these inspections. These inspections fall on you. And unless you have somebody that's going to be like, hey, you need to get that house inspected. Okay. It, the inspection, it identifies all kinds of problems, anything that could happen. It's not a FHA doesn't guarantee your home. There's a lot of things that come along with this. So I'm a big advocate of inspections. Okay. Especially when we get to that point, you find a house, it looks all pretty. You're like, oh my God, we can do this, we can do that. The first thing I'm going to say is, Natasha, we need to go ahead and have a home inspection done.
Mhm.
And you're going to say, well, why? But everything looks, yes, on the surface, it does. What if it has electrical problems? It gives you bargaining. You
Mhm.
know, if it comes back and the inspection says it has electrical problems, guess what? We can come back in and say, hey, we're gonna need this fixed before closing, or we're gonna need this much amount of money removed from this so that we can have this done.
Mhm.
You know? Uh the last thing, next couple things is the general information notice. That's also just a whole lot of information that we need to like read through, but mostly again, it is to give you it is it is to give you information on let's you know what, let's go through the general information. I think that's important.
For 7 on page 7.
General information is number 7. Yeah.
Okay. Are
Just
these just a list of things that
it's a list of all the things. Yeah.
that your inspector is going to double check?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Home inspection and inspection tip. Okay, let's click on number 8. For your protection.
Mhm.
What did you see on there? Now, we have something called a TXR 2506. Well, we have people that we work for them. Well, we don't work for them. They have worked with us in the past and they have done well. You don't have to use who we have. If you have your own home inspector, use him. If you know somebody that will do a better job, do it. All this is saying, hey, if we say, hey, we've got a home inspector available, all this is saying you can use him or if you prefer to. So again, this is just like telling you, giving you more information. Okay. Um, Let me see if I touched anything else on here. The last thing was the wire fraud. This is horrible, but in this day and age, it's big. It's big.
Yeah,
Uh, Please review the wire fraud document.
I did.
All right.
Mhm.
Fake emails, fraudulent wiring. We're not gonna tell you to wire anything. You're going to go to a title company. It's going to be a legitimate thing. You're going to sit in a room with people with coming in with notaries and stuff. No one is going to tell you to go to the bank and wire $1,500. So, but you'd be surprised how many people go, oh, well, if I don't do it, I'm going to lose the house. I'm going to lose my earnest money. Uh-uh. Ask me. Ask me a question.
Okay.
I'll answer. Trust me. I will. Uh, the last thing is, well, how do you have any questions? Do you have any questions about any of this?
The questions that I had that I had written down were kind of answered as we went.
Mhm.
Um, are commission fees typically 3%? Is that standard
That's standard in this market.
in this
You
market?
know, in this market, it's standard. We do split with our broker our commission
I see.
fees. So,
Okay.
or whatever that is, but yeah, normally it's standard, but I do my best to provide value in everything that I do to make it worth it,
Right.
you
Okay.
know.
All right. Well,
So
that's all the
if
questions that I had.
well, thank you so much for your time. I mean, you got my email. I'm gonna reach out and check on you guys and see if you have any other questions. I've got a great a mortgage lender if you guys haven't been, or when you're ready to be pre-qualified.
Sounds good.
And you guys can I'll be in contact.
Perfect. Well, then
Okay.
I'll reach out if you don't.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.